Nothing I say in this video is going to matter that much, because at the end of the day, you have to pick your own pieces to play. You have to follow what your heart tells you to, what you feel comfortable with, and what you enjoy playing. It is you and not anyone else in the world who is going to be spending the time to study and practice the pieces. So you have to pick something that you're going to enjoy playing. That said, welcome back to another video on Chopin. I had no idea that so many of you were going to enjoy my last video on 5 most difficult Chopin pieces. I'll link it up there if you haven't seen it. So thank you so much for commenting on that video, because I really enjoyed hearing about your experiences with Chopin and just with music. I think it's really interesting to kind of build a little community here, so thank you. And for today, I am talking about 5 easy Chopin pieces. So a couple of things that I kept in mind when I decided to choose easy Chopin pieces. One is that it has a simple melody, and 2, that it has a also very simple and probably repetitive left hand, because let's be honest, one of the difficult things and unique things about playing the piano is that you have to read 2 lines simultaneously, so it's very easy to just get lost with one hand and then don't know what to do with the other one. So I wanted to pick something that was easy for the left hand so that you mostly just have to focus on doing one hand at a time, and in this case it would be the right hand. The third factor when picking these easy Chopin pieces is easy for you guys to play well. It's not just about the length and about how many notes are on the page, it's also about how easy it is to play the piece well. Especially in the beginning of learning any instruments, but also learning the piano, you should be able to practice something and also enjoy the outcome, enjoy listening to yourself play, because it's just going to be frustrating if you spend a lot of time playing something and you just don't like how you sound. So I picked these pieces with that in mind, and I realized that I excluded a lot of pieces that would be considered popular Chopin pieces, like nocturnes. And the reason is because I think a lot of the popular Chopin pieces, it is really easy to not play them well. You don't realize how loud New York City is until you're trying to record something. Alright, now you know my factors for picking these pieces. Now onto the list. This list will be backwards, so you will hear me talk about the hardest one to the easiest one. Number 5 is Chopin's Variations in A. It is still stuck in my head. It is also known as Souvenir de Paganini. I played it a little bit this morning for the background of this video, and it's still stuck in my head. It might not be a well-known piece, but I do think it is a really wonderful piece to play. The melody is so sweet, so it's very easy to get it stuck in your head, I think. Quite easy to remember and quite straightforward. The left hand, it is just a simple arpeggio in A major and in E major. There are some note changes as it progresses, but it doesn't really change much. It is still A major and E major. It is in variations, so it is going to get a little bit more complicated each time the melody comes. There are runs, not too complicated. Don't be too scared about the run. It is essentially just an A major scale, but I think it's a lot more fun to learn runs within pieces like this rather than technical exercises that aren't really beautiful music. Another option for you, if you think that it is too hard, is that you can just learn the first page. That is the main melody. When I was younger, I would do this thing where I would just practice the places and pieces that I can manage to play at the time, and then eventually my love for the piece will encourage me and motivate me to learn the harder places in the piece. So if you want, you can just start out with the first page, and then it does get a little bit harder, but just use that as your little technical exercises. Number 4 is Mazurka Opus 7, number 1. Now for this piece, there are no runs, so you don't have to be worried about scales, but it is a mazurka, which is slightly more complicated in rhythm than a waltz. The waltz, it's usually the first beat that is heavier. Mazurka kind of switches between the second and the third beat emphasis, so that's why it's a little bit trickier, and that's why it's the 4th on this list. But the reason that I included in this easy list is because the main theme of the mazurka repeats itself 4 times. It is only 2 pages, the entire piece. So if you just learn that melody, that original theme, you already learned a third of the piece. Number 3 is a waltz, but probably not the waltz that you're thinking of. It is Waltz in A minor. This is another posthumous work, just like the variations in A. I played it when I was younger. After watching this DVD, they did these animations of, I don't know if they're paintings or I have no idea, but I remember it was this girl just going around with some birds in a garden, just floating around. It was really pretty, and along with that melody, I just couldn't resist, so I did learn it when I was younger. What I like about it is also that it has a really nice melody. It's a little bit on the melancholy side. The left hand is quite easy. There are also no complicated rhythms in this waltz, so I hope you enjoy it. Number 2 is actually 2 pieces, and it depends how big your hands are. I actually didn't even know these pieces existed before listening to Ashkenazi's CD. It is these pieces called Bourrée. Bourrées are actually French dances. I don't think they're actually in any of the Chopin books that I own, so I have links to them through IMSLP. If you guys don't know, it's a great site for scores. Each of these pieces is 1 page, so they're really short. And again, the left hand is easy. You just have to learn 4 different chords, and then you're good to go. For the right hand, there are 2 main melodies, and the first one repeats itself 6 times, and the second one basically repeats 2 times. So it's just a 2-line piece essentially. The second one does have octaves, but honestly when I was a kid, when my hands weren't big enough, I always just skipped notes, so you could just play a triad instead of an octave. And your right hand, you don't have to hold on to an octave, so you just kind of have to do a little bit of a jump if you're not big enough. But again, it's also a quite easy piece because there are 2 main melodies and each of them repeats itself 4 times. So another easy piece, and it's quite fun to listen to as well. Let me know if you like them. Number 1 on this list is his Prelude, number 7. It is literally just 2 lines. It's the same rhythm throughout the entire piece. I know there are some octaves technically, but you could always just switch and cheat, I guess, but it's okay because your hands are not big enough. That's totally fine. Your right thumb can just play the octave note of your left, and you can just switch it. I hope that makes sense. I don't have as interesting anecdotes in this video, but I do have to say I very much remember learning this prelude. I was actually just reading through the book of preludes when I was probably around 6, and I remember flipping through and just sight reading them, and I came to this page with number 7 on it, and I was like, wow, there's one, just 2 lines. I was so excited to tell my dad because my dad is the one that is more into music, and I remember waiting for him to come back home. He had just gone out to get groceries in the market. He has absolutely no memory of this, but I was actually very excited, and I was like, Dad, look. I mean, I spoke in Cantonese, like, ba有個淨係得2行嘅啫喎，好短㗎，哈哈哈. I don't remember his reaction. I think he was just more concerned about what to do for dinner. But I remember getting really excited about it because it was also a very easy piece to learn. It's just a very repetitive rhythm, but also very beautiful at the same time. So that's really the only anecdote I have. So that's the end of this easy Chopin list. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me talk about pieces again. Please let me know if you do know these pieces, or if you are going to learn them, or if you have learned them. If you do find these pieces difficult, please don't worry. There's nothing wrong with you. Everyone works differently, everyone's brain is different. I did learn most of these pieces, except for the Bourrée, which I actually haven't learned until earlier today, this morning. And with the exception of the mazurka, which I think I only started learning mazurkas much later. But everything else I did play when I was younger. So I hope you guys enjoy these music. And please subscribe if you enjoy listening to me talk about pieces and about music. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering about that group vlog that I talked about, well, I still haven't figured out what I want to do, so it'll be just random videos for now. Let me know what you want to see in the comments. And subscribe, and goodbye.